Welcome back, story lovers. Today, we read diving into a tale that asks a very simple question. What happens when the galaxy's most fragile species turns out to be its most terrifyingly tough? Let's beam into the Galactic Academy's Xenobiology lab. Professor Velther, a being whose crystalline skin shimmered with 1,000 colors, was giving a lecture. He gestured towards a holographic display of a human. As you can see, he explained to his class of diverse alien students, humans possess remarkably fragile skin. A simple cut can be catastrophic if left untreated. A young, curious Vortian named Zixral raised a wobbly pseudopod. Professor, if they're so delicate, how did they ever reach space? Wouldn't their fear of getting hurt stop them? Just then, the lab door hissed open. Marcus Thompson, the human exchange student, stumbled in, carrying a heavy crate. His face was flushed, and a nasty gash on his arm was bleeding freely. The entire class went silent. Professor Velther's skin flashed with alarm. Several students recoiled, thinking they were witnessing a fatal injury. "Sorry I'm late, Professor," Marcus panted, setting down the crate. "Caught my arm on a sharp edge in the cargo bay. Just give me a sec. Human Marcus." The professor's voice boomed with concern. "You are experiencing critical structural failure. We must get you to the medical bay immediately." Marcus looked from his professor to his own bleeding arm, and then he did something that shocked everyone. He laughed. "This? Nah, it's just a scratch. A bit deep maybe, but nothing serious." He calmly walked over to a cabinet and pulled out a small white box. "First aid kit," he announced to the horrified onlookers. The alien students watched in morbid fascination as Marcus pressed a white gauze pad to the wound, which quickly turned crimson. "See, our bodies have this cool trick called coagulation," he explained casually. "Our blood cells form a plug. Takes a few minutes, but it works." Zixral quivered. "You are repairing yourself? Without medical assistance?" "Yeah, basically," Marcus said, examining the cut. The bleeding had slowed. He tore open a small packet with his teeth, squeezed a clear gel onto the gash, and explained, "Antiseptic. Kills bacteria so it doesn't get infected." Keitara, a student with large, compound eyes, clicked her mandibles nervously. "But the pain, how are you functioning through such distress signals?" Marcus shrugged his good shoulder. "It hurts, yeah, but humans have decent pain tolerance. You kind of develop it when your ancestors evolved dodging giant predators. Pain is just information, not a stop sign." With practiced ease, he wrapped his arm in an adhesive bandage. "There. Good as new. It'll take a couple of weeks to heal, but I'm fine." He grinned at the class. "What? Did I miss something?" Professor Velther's crystalline form had turned a deep purple, a color of profound confusion. "Marcus, the psychological trauma alone from such an injury would incapacitate most species." "Trauma? From this?" Marcus was genuinely puzzled. "Professor, back when we lived in caves, we got hurt all the time. Broken bones, deep cuts, infections. If we shut down every time we got a scratch, our species would have died out. My dad's a carpenter. He once accidentally nailed his hand to a board. He just pulled the nail out, wrapped it up, and finished the job." Zixral rippled in disbelief. "Your progenitor impaled himself and continued working? This is madness." Marcus laughed. "That's humans for you. We have a saying, rub some dirt on it. It's not actual medical advice, but it sums up our attitude." He started sorting the samples he'd brought in, his bandaged arm moving naturally. "We're not reckless. We go to doctors for serious stuff, but basic first aid? We learned that as kids. It's just part of being human." The professor approached, his light patterns shifting to a curious yellow. "This explains much about your history. Your capacity for exploration, for warfare, you simply continue despite damage." "Pretty much," Marcus agreed. "We're good at ignoring our body's warning signs when we need to get something done. It's how we survive. It's how we thrive." The lab was silent. The aliens' understanding of humanity had been completely rewritten. These weren't fragile creatures, they were terrifyingly tenacious. "All right," Marcus said cheerfully, completely oblivious to the existential crisis he'd caused. "Should we get started on today's dissection?" The professor's colors settled on a resigned green. His lecture on human fragility, it seemed, was going to need a major update. The galaxy had vastly underestimated humanity's ability to just carry on. What an incredible perspective shift. It makes you wonder what other human traits might seem utterly alien to the rest of the galaxy. If you enjoyed this story, Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next journey into the cosmos. Thanks for watching.